Hi, my name is Robin Smith. Today I'm going to walk you through how I built a Snack Man, a fully functional infinity level, a game just using a pure HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Uh, Before we look at the code, let's see exactly what I built. Right away, you can see our customs overlay with the start buttons in the middle. Over on the left, we have a fully functional leaderboard pulling a real data to show the top five players. On the top right, we track our scores, and the right above that our the lives displayed dynamically as a bright yellow circles. When I click on start buttons, you can see I use a arrow button to navigate. Notice that one orange glowing circles on the map that our the shield power up. If player eat it, player get actually a glowing css button and alert pop up saying that power off is on and making it invincible to the green enemies for 5 seconds. Let's check it. If I lose all my the lives, the game stops and our customs game over screen appears with the restart buttons right below it, and it asks for my names to save my scores to the leaderboards. Let's check it. Look, it's say asks for my name to save my scores to the leaderboard, and it's looks simply on the surface, but the underneath it requires some serious JavaScript logic. Let look under the hood, and this is a JavaScript file. The foundation of this game is that the player isn't actually moving through a screen in a traditional sense. The entire game board is just a massive 2D array, an array of arrays. Let image equals to 1, 2, 3. That is, each number is a secret code. 1 is for wall, 0 is for point, 3 is for an enemy, 4 is an empty space, 2 is our players. But how the bunching numbers becomes and games? We use a function called a render map on screens. It logically literally double of the loops. That outer loops goes through the y-axis the rows, and the inner loops goes through the x-axis the columns. uh, Render map. uh, that the internal inner html that cleared the old board completely. And for the single numbers, we use a javascript, that is the document dot create element div to build a tiny boxes. We check the numbers in using a switch conditions statement to give it the matching css like walls or the players. Finally, we attach the screens using the append child. Every time the sometimes changes, we wipe the screens and redraw all the 100 boxes in a stance. Let's move to the how the characters movings and move the main character. That is, I will call a functions that is movements, movement, and we have a function called a move main characters. So how do we move? We press an arrow key. It passes a direction from to our the movement function, that is dy, uh, changing in y, and dx changing in x. That is moving right in dx, moving right, that means dx equals to plus 1. Moving left is that dx minus 1, and moving up is dx equals to minus 1. Here is what the constants loops that the player got location, that find where the 2 is right now. D and y and d and x, that is the calculate the next y position and x positions. And the if match equals to that, it returns. It means that the if the next stop is what, do no things. And but for the we find the current coordinates, then we calculate the future coordinate, that is n, y, and x, by adding the direction we want to go. Let's move to the next, that is how the different infinity levels loops created. We have a function called check remaining. We have a function or check remaining points. The function that checking the inside the movements, and then the set new level functions occur. Now we have a random maze makers, how the infinity levels loops actually triggers every single times the player move into the infinity tiles. We trigger a counting function, that is loops through the whole maze. That is, it quickly extends the 2D arrays and count how many 0 points are left back into our movement logic, and we check the result. Here is the exact movements is returns 0, and the game knows that the map is clear. JavaScript trigger has allowed to show the screen complete, start the levels, and the current levels variables are 8 plus 1 to it, and the run the start new levels, that is current level plus 1. And let's move to the how the data storage in the local storage, and the function called sto store plain score. We have a function called function player is store player scores. Finally, we need to way to save our high scores without a backend database. We use a browser build, that is local storage API, which permanently save the text data to the user browser. Here is a we try to grab the old leaderboard from the local storage, because the local storage only holds the raw text strings. We have to wrap it JOSON dot phasers to convert it back to the usual JavaScript array. It doesn't exist, we fall back to the empty array. So we push name and scores into the array as a new player object, and we use a dot sort method with a custom logic, that is a by b, that is equal to greater than minus b is score minus a score, to arrange uh, array from the highest to the lowest scores. Finally, we convert the whole back into the string using a JSON dot string 5 the data into the browsers. And finally, we go to the modern polish. So the finally touch of the logic is that we handle a modern animation. Instead of just laying on CSS file, we injected the animation directly into the DOM using a JavaScript web animation API. So we have a blinking animation on a game over text area. So we use our top row dot animate. Top row dot there is we passes an array of the keyframes directly into the JavaScript. It changes the opacity and slightly scales the text over the 1,000 millisecond as an infinity loop, and it power way to the control the UI feedback through the logic. And that's the logic behind the snackmans. By clicking the uh, done complex game interaction into the simple array operations, say timeout loops and the math, I can build incredible complex systems from scratch. Thank you.